It has been a while, but here we are about quality, not quantity. As you see before you is the SIG Air MCX Virtus PCP. This is the semi-automatic model, the US market model, and I do believe that it is one of the first ones to hit the ground in consumers' hands. I pre-ordered through the wonderful Pyramid Air, and I'm only about a day's shippings away from them. So I do believe I'm one of the first in the US to have one of these. If you look 3 or 4 days ago, videos started showing up of them, of the European model or of the UK model that has essentially like a non-semi-automatic feature in which you have to push the trigger back to reset. But this is America, so here we have the semi-automatic. For those of you who don't know, this is SIG's new PCP. It is possibly similar to the CO2 guns that they had. To my knowledge, runs off a very similar magazine system. However, this one, of course, is a bottle gun running with a 13.3K Steely tank, HPA tank, rated at 775 FPS with a 9-grain pellet. Manufacturers really need to come on board with not doing this to us. This gun was rated on Pyramid Air at 700 feet per second. However, that would have been with a less than 12 grain projectile. Shooting 14s, which is what I intend to shoot, 14 or 15. This is all the way down to 621. So I was a bit disappointed there. Nonetheless, we can look through here and so on and so forth. We'll stop there so you can take a look. But without further ado, let's open the box to see that there is nothing, because I already took it out and sat it over there because I couldn't just stare at it any longer. Inside the box, what you will find is the gun in this area, the butt plate, and the bottle. In addition to that, register online in case it breaks, whatnot. Do not return to store, same thing. And the little manual. So on and so forth. You'll shoot your eye out, kids. Shooty end, trigger, buttstock, so on and so forth. Comes with a multi-tool. Filling. Yada, yada, yada. So let's move on to the gun. And as you can see, without even having shot this gun, one thing that it for certain has down is the looks. The color scheme, the form, everything about this gun is beautiful. It is one of the few PCPs on the market that actually pulls off the bottle design, that actually looks like it's still, dare I say, looks like it's a firearm. Nonetheless, you've got a polymer forend, very, very chintzy feeling. I've heard that the build quality on these is substantially better than the CO2 guns. I have never personally held one of the CO2 guns, so if that is the case, I feel very, very bad for the CO2 guns. Aluminum lower receiver, or aluminum receiver, I guess, lower and upper. And slightly difficult to tell, could be a very good plastic. So I sacrificed a little paint there in order to verify that it is in fact aluminum. As we get back to the tank back here, you can see we have an American gauge. That little N there was very, very good to see. For those of you who have paintballed or dealt in that industry, you know that that is Ninja. Ninja is a very, very well-respected tank manufacturer for the paintball industry. I've actually got one of their tanks at home for back when I was into that. I am disappointed, however, that the tank doesn't come with a quick connect cover. You'll definitely want to do something about that so you're not getting dirt and debris in there, as they will wear out those O-rings, and make sure that your tank doesn't seal if you get debris in there. Butt plate back here, that is a separate piece, comes separate in the box so that you can adjust it to your liking and then tighten down that bolt there to snug it up. Plastic grip. Inside the grip here, you have that little multi-tool. As mentioned earlier, you've got a sight adjustment tool. Difficult to do. Sight adjustment tool, little flathead that could also work for sights, I do imagine. And on the bottom, you can kind of see in there, there's a hex head that is the correct size hex for that there. mag release, non-functional forward assist. Just drop the mag. Non-functional dust cover. Magazine does take 2 hands, which is difficult to do. Flipping over to this side, it is very unnecessarily busy. Bolt hold open does not do anything. Opposite sided mag release does nothing. The cocking handle, however, actually does cock the gun. So if we drop the safety off, thumb safe, we can now dry fire. Once again for you. Moving up to the sights, I really wish that SIG would have paid the money to have Magpul, or to put Magpul sights on it, as these are destined for nothing other than the fuck it bucket. The same with the front. They're functional, yes. Are they good? No. Are they something that I'm going to keep on the gun? Absolutely not. Farther forward, tri-tip muzzle brake, which of course in this makes no difference whatsoever. And there we have it. So let's get a scope on this and let's go do some shooting. Before we get to the scope and shooting, let's take a minute here to recognize the amazing complexity of this magazine, or lack thereof. So of course, being that this is a 30-round gun, and being that we're dealing with skirted pellets, very soft lead, you have to do something quite different in order to contain those without damaging the skirt. What SIG chose to do here is to essentially create a box magazine to hold a belt, a 22 caliber pellet belt. So you have 30 individual links connected together that ride through a guide in this box. I've not looked into it much, not looked inside the gun. However, I do assume that something in the gun actuates on these little knobs off of each link in order to index one. That chain, I'm not going to get to it quite yet. However, that chain comes apart. You run this over until you get to the white links. Continue to spin, and you've got the white links. That is where it would come apart, and you can pull it out. Loading, very simple. Haven't read the manual. I don't know how SIG recommends you do it. I believe that most of the time I will most likely just load like this. Push the pellet into the magazine right from the back and index one forward. If you don't want to do that, what you can do is you can grab that white link, pull it right out, set her on your table, and then you have 30 individual links at the ready that you can just shove pellets into and go back to work. To my knowledge at this time, magazines nor chains are available for sale. We will see if that changes. I'm not sure if these are cross compatible with the CO2 guns. I hope that they are, and I hope that I can find some spares, because I do have a feeling that with this gun's rated 200 shots per fill, that I'm going to be running some lead through it. And one more aside before we go up and shoot. The scope that I have on here is a Sightmark triple duty 2.5 to 10 by 32. I really like these scopes. They're at a very reasonable price point, especially for the older model. As you can see here, the older model was available in a mil-dot scope. The newer one is some caliber specific 223 and 7.62. I have one of those new ones. I have two of these older ones. The older ones are just as good. The scope works very well. Goes down to 2.5 power, works very well for those quick shots, which I do intend to do a lot of. This gun was very much purchased as a tool for both birds inside the barn at night, shooting out of the rafters, as well as rats underneath feeders, once again at night. So possibly in the future we'll see some night vision work with this gun. However, most of the time I will be running it with just a red light. The scope works very well though for the quick shots down at the 2.5 power, and then kick her up to the 10. Excessive magnification for most of what I do. However, with the rats, there are frequently times at which they will hide themselves behind something, so you do have to make very precise shots. So 10 power will work very well for that. Illuminated reticle, I do very much enjoy the manner in which Sightmark went about illuminating the reticle on this older model. It is a simple red dot, essentially, right in the center of the reticle. The newer model illuminates the whole duplex, which I don't like as much. Gun is filled up thanks to my friend Yong Heng, or whatever those $200 Chinese compressors are. And then the mag is all filled up. Didn't mention that earlier, however we're shooting field target trophies. My go-to in just about everything, 22 caliber right there. So without further ado, let's go shoot it. All right, we are upstairs in the conference room. I'm at work here today. We're going to be doing some very close range sight-in work here at about 20 feet, just to get her feet wet, see where she shoots, bring her in, and then we will continue to move back until we get to about my max range, which up here is about 24 yards, shooting back there. So these shots are going to be pretty much pointless, being that this is an unreasonably close range, but these are the first shots that the gun has ever fired. Don't forget to cock it. And the safety. The safety is also in the way of shooting. Okay, trigger pull is substantially harder than what I thought. Kicked the safety the wrong way. There we have it, first shot. I'm going to do the sight-in work off camera, and then we will come back together once I actually start throwing groups. Okay, up close at the target, you can see shot 1, 2, and 3 down here, if I can get the camera in the right direction. Turned things up, brought them up into here. Keep in mind these were at 20 feet, so quite concerning of a spread there. Moved back a little bit, brought things up. We had this. Brought things up even more once I felt that that was pretty close. Moved back to, I believe I'm at somewhere around 40 feet right now. Fired 2 more shots, had these 2, brought things down, and ended up in this grouping. The extreme spread were the first few shots, so things started to settle down into that hole right there. So I'm hoping that there was just some oil in the barrel or something, some sort of possibly a minor manufacturing defect, a little burr or something that the gun will work out. I'm gonna fire a couple more magazines through it just to get things settled in, and then we will start doing some groupings. I have several different pellets to choose from. JSB, Exact, Jumbo Monsters, Sniper Magnums, Jumbo Heavies. I have both the 15-1s, or 15-8s, 15-8-9s, and the 18-1s of those. And then some of the old trusty Crosman Premier hollow points, washed and re-lubricated. So we will see what works best. My target block here is getting a little wore out, as you can see. Not too particularly worried about it, being that this is a 600 foot per second gun. I have a lot of backstop here, some additional backstop here, and then a couple sheets of drywall, some metal, and then also plywood behind that. So not at all worried with this gun. I'm gonna keep doing some shooting, and then we'll get back together for some groupings. All right, I promised groups, and we never made it far enough to get groups. So to recap on what we did before, we fired 3 shots at 20 feet, made some adjustments, fired another 3 shots, moved back to 40, fired 3 more shots, fired a couple more up here, and then finally got her down into what I deemed as acceptable shooting field target trophies. Fired 19 shots right here at 40 feet. Ended up with about a 2-inch group, expecting some sort of issue with the gun. Moved over here, fired 30 of my washed Crosman Premier hollow points. Ended up with very, very similar results. 2 inches, 2.5 inches. Most of the shots, keep in mind, are about 1 inch. However, there's a heck of a lot of flyers for that. At that point, I brought the gun downstairs and decided to refill it. My ears were kind of starting to ring. This is a very, very loud gun for what it is. Of course, being that it's not shrouded. So just for the heck of it, I thought, hey, I wonder if this tip is threaded. And what did I discover? It very much is threaded. I have it torqued down, which I'll get to in just a minute. Tip is threaded, hopefully half 28, so I can throw a can on there. But nonetheless, notice the tip was threaded, so unthreaded it, threaded it back on. A little bit tighter than what it was from the factory. I go back up to shoot, fire a few shots, aiming at this target, mind you, and the shots end up over here. Make some adjustments, those end up here, and then end up sighting in, bringing her back to here. So similar to the Marauders, the tension of the, or similar to the shroud tension on the Marauders, the muzzle brake tension on this gun has an effect on point of impact. I don't see it so much as an effect on grouping. However, it definitely does have an effect on point of impact. Made some adjustments here, got her into about where I was aiming through 30 rounds of my JSB 18.1s. Once again, keep in mind, 40 feet here, about a 2-inch group. After that, through 30 rounds of the JSB 15.9s, and those were the worst group of the day. Most of them, once again, within inch and a quarter. A lot of them within 2 inch. However, extreme spread of almost 3 inches here. So accuracy for this gun is admittedly lackluster. If you're looking for something to shoot pop cans at 12 yards and you want to actually challenge yourself, then yeah, this is probably a pretty good gun to get. Keep in mind, you know, pop can maybe that wide, so you know you've got to hit in the center if you want to knock it down every time. For hunting, for sparrows, for rats, for my purposes, this ain't gonna work. So keep in mind, I haven't cleaned the gun yet. Haven't disassembled it at all, haven't done much of anything. So I'm going to do some work. Hopefully we can get the accuracy to improve. The gun, as I said before, is very, very beautiful. Ergonomics on it are pretty good. Build quality, pretty decent. Fore end is pretty chintzy, but other than that, it feels pretty solid. The trigger pull is complete and utter garbage. Magazine's pretty good loading system, whatnot. But yeah, that accuracy is definitely going to be an issue. So like I said, I'm going to do some work on it. Hopefully we can get that fixed. Hopefully I can come back and tell you guys that this is the gun to buy. If not, I might know where one is for sale. So thank you guys for watching. Hopefully I'll be reporting back soon. Like, subscribe, or shoot me hate mail. Tell me that I'm awful. Do what you want, guys.